Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This is a channel where I use the Lenormand system, it's a card system, to look at politics, race, culture, and whatever else we decide to look at. I'm the author of The Language of Lenormand. You can also find this in French. The book is available wherever books are sold, as they say. I also have a course that you can take at your own pace. So if you click the button um, under the video, you will find all of those resources there. So uh, I did a live. Lots of you are aware of that. I did a live on Friday. I think, well, what I did was with my membership, I got rid of the higher tier, the town hall tier, and so just the lower tier remains. And I've decided that I'm going to have the lives open to everyone. However, if you do join as a member at that lower rate, I will give your questions precedence because lots and lots of people have questions for me to answer, and I'll give those questions precedence because there'll be a little um, identification there that will let me know that you are a member of the channel. So this is just to support my work. It just helps me be able to give you the time and attention that I am trying to give you here on this channel. So I think I'm probably going to do those lives, not every week, but maybe every other week. Um, so, you know, when I do, I will try to notify you just in the previous video, and whatever my previous video is, I will mention, oh, I'm going to do a live on Friday. So at such and such a time. So please come. So that way you'll have a little bit of advance warning. Again, because I did one Friday, I will not be doing one this week. It's also Thanksgiving coming up. I do, however, have a special guest coming on Wednesday. This will be someone I think you'll enjoy meeting. Um, it's a nice little pre-holiday thing, so I hope you'll join me for that Wednesday video. All right. So we have one, two, three, four, five things I thought I would look at. These are my notes. People are very funny. They think it's a script. It's not a script. Um, I mean, what am I going to do? Memorize the script? No. So these are just notes. These just remind me of what issues I want to talk about. And if there are facts or statistics or names or things, they're written down so that I don't forget what I'm talking about or misspeak on any level. So there's a lot of news out there, as you know. The first thing that I wanted to mention is the thing that you're all already aware of, which is that, as predicted, the cases against James Comey and Letitia James have been tossed. So they're not a thing. I said that that would happen, and it did. Um, what I'd like to know is that the end of it, or will the felon try to relitigate these cases? Also, we know that Lindsay Halligan is no longer a prosecutor. Uh, she shouldn't have been in the first place, but she's been removed from that position. But I just want to know, are James and Comey, meaning Letitia James and James Comey, are they in the clear? Um, and I think I'll just let Spirit pull all the cards. Are they in the clear? Apparently, there's a 6-month window in which theoretically the state could relitigate. But I also think that because the errors, we'll call them, the mistakes, the sloppiness, the mis I think there was some misleading stuff also that she did. Was that all so egregious that a court will say, yeah, nah, you cannot relitigate this. But, short of that, there is a 6 month window. We know that the felon is vengeful and litigious. So I just want to know um, what will happen moving forward. I'm asking, are they going to be in the clear moving forward? Or will the felon try to relitigate? Okay. I just pulled a couple of clarifiers on the last two cards, but as always, I will discuss all of them. All right. So we have the anchor, we have the cross, we have the older woman, we have the ring, and we have the stork. So, here the cases are they got sunk, uh, you know, they went down in flames, so to speak, um, dead in the water. Okay. However, this is our friend Pam Bondi, the head of the DOJ. And they will try again, or the felon will order her to try again, hoping for a better outcome. So I pulled cards on this try again thing, and the clarifiers are the scale, the fox, and the bear. So here they are trying again to put their thumb on the scale of justice. Again, trying to be slick and sneaky and slimy, Fox, at the behest of the narcissist in chief. So he will want Pam Bondi to do this again. Uh, we have the stork, which is positive change, and the clarifiers are the rider, the coffin, and then we have the young woman. So I think that this is a card meant for Letitia James and James Comey. I think that they will be fine. I think that the message we will all get is forget about it. This is a done deal. This is a fool's errand. This will not proceed. This will not be relitigated. If it will be relitigated, it'll be shot down because really the question of the hour that will take precedence over everything moving forward is going to be Epstein. And that is what's going to sink the felon. When I say Epstein, I want to be clear that it's not just the abuse of women or children. As Americans, we are sort of alternately titillated and attracted by, um, voyeuristic conversation around sex. But at the same time, the culture is very puritanical. It's both those things simultaneously. And that is why the sex piece of Epstein has become the lightning rod. But it's really important to realize that it's not that. It's more what is even more insidious and all-encompassing is the buying and selling of information and secrets of all kinds across continents and countries. That's the thing. Some of them have to do with sex, sex, sorry, YouTube. Some of them have to do with other things. Um, Money, power, influence, etc. But of course, because we're Americans with this puritanical history, we get caught up in the sex part. Not saying it's not important, but I'm saying it's just truly the tip of the iceberg. So let's keep our eye on the prize. And I think the felon will have um, way more to worry about than Comey and James in the coming days, weeks, and months. So he can try to get this thing relitigated. I do not think it will work. I think Halligan, as I mentioned before, is toast. Uh, it would not surprise me if she were not in the end disbarred. I've looked at that before, and that's what I've seen. She will have no future in the legal community, and that is as it should be. Okay. The next thing I wanted to look at is the fact that I wanted to talk about Mark Kelley. Now, we know Mark Kelley. He is the husband of Representative Gabby Giffords, who was shot. Remember that? And then suffered from aphasia as a result of that, like difficulty with speech, and she has trouble with mobility and all of that. Well, he is her husband. He's also um, uh, a former astronaut, and he was one of the members of Congress and or members of the he's a senator, right? Who spoke up in that commercial. And if you recall, the commercial was each of them speaking, but they each basically said uh, it was a message to active duty military. And the message was that you have an obligation and a duty to not obey illegal orders, period. Well, Mark Kelley is, according to the felon, vulnerable because he is um, he is retired, but the way his retirement works, he could theoretically be called back into service, into active duty. Now he's up in age, so what does calling him up for active duty have to do with anything? Well, if they call him back into active duty, he could then be court-martialed. That sets the stage for a court-martial. You can't court-martial someone who's not in the military, right? So they call him back into active duty. He has to go. And then they say, okay, soldier, so now you are court-martialed. And what would the charge be? The charge would be sedition. So I just want to know how Mark Kelley will fare. This is obviously a vindictive move by our vindictive felon in chief. Uh, I saw that Ruben Gallego had some choice words for the felon uh, on this move. Well, no, it wasn't for the felon. Choice words for Pete Hegseth, who is not for long, but currently the Secretary of War. So it was his announcement. So I just want to know how will Mark Kelley fare? So we're going to use the older man for him and see what we get. Lenormand is not read in reverse, so I don't know why my cards are some of them upside down, but it drives me crazy, so I always have to put them right side up. Okay, so this will stand for Mark Kelley. He really is considered by many, including me, an American hero. Here he has spoken truth to power yet again, and I'd like to know how he will fare. Okay, so we have the fox, we have the garden, we have Mark Kelley, we have the bear, and we have the letter. Okay. So this is a kind of a, sneaky move. Oh, let's call him back into active duty so then we can court-martial him. It's one of those kind of sneaky backdoor ugly things. Here's the letter for the, you know, calling you up papers. This is also, the charge of sedition. Um, Second card is uh, the garden. This is the people. Um, and it really feels like the people versus the narcissist in chief with Mark Kelley, in the middle here. And I pulled some clarifiers on him. We have the young woman, we have the cross, and we have the star. I think that the attempt to get him will be weak and unsuccessful, and that he will be just fine. Part of the reason I think he'll be just fine is this is a version of the felon, is most narcissistic. And we have the coffin, we have the scythe, and we have the older woman. So I want to say the felon's health, it gets worse and worse and worse. Once he exits the stage, any number of cases that may have gone forward will stop dead in their tracks. But also, people remember what happened to Mark Kelley's wife, Gabby Giffords, that this was an assassination attempt. And so now his reputation is, there's an attempt to assassinate his reputation. People aren't going to like that. It's going to look like what it is, which is, a vindictive bully kind of a move against someone who just did a PSA to remind active service members of what their duties and obligations are under the law. And then we have the letter, and the clarifiers are the fish, the scale, and the sun. So, this is the order. I think people are going to feel some type of way about this. And it will be seen for what it is, an attempt to subvert the law. If anybody is seditious, it's not Mark Kelley, it's the felon. And I think that that will be very clear. I can mirror the sun with the fox, and it will be seen for the slimy move that it is. I don't think Mark Kelley will be in any danger. Um, I don't think it will get to any kind of trial. And I think that even if it were put on the docket, I think the felon would be gone before any trial date happened, and that would moot the point. There would not be any kind of trial. But I think beyond that, the felon is unpopular enough. I think this would really hurt him even more. I mean, you're going to call Mark Kelley seditious, but not those people in January 6th. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. The next thing I want to look at is there's three more issues. So we know that the felon is called TACO because Trump always chickens out is the acronym. TACO is the acronym for that. And we know a couple of things about this proposed peace plan between Ukraine and Russia. What we know is that Ukraine was not part of the decision-making process. That's number one. We also know, whether Rubio publicly admits it or not, we know from several Republican and Democratic senators that Marco Rubio said to them privately, more than one, to several of them, this document that is proposed, that the felon wants Ukraine to agree to, um, is Russian talking points. That there was no American input into this. This is everything that Russia wants, um, nothing that Ukraine can benefit from. I mean, in a negotiation, there's supposed to be give and take on both sides. There's none of that. It would be pure capitulation on the part of Ukraine were they to sign this. We know that Europe is not thrilled about this and has come up with their own alternative plan that takes more of what Ukraine would like to get out of this into account. And we also know that the felon has given Ukraine the deadline of Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, to agree, or else, whatever. I guess he's saying if they don't agree, that will cut Ukraine's aid off. So what I want to know is, now that everybody realizes, wait, this is just a pure Russian document. Um, And the fact that now Europe is saying, yeah, no, this is not going to be a thing. Will the felon uh, push back his deadline in a taco kind of way? I mean, one hopes that he will. From Thanksgiving, will he say, "Oh, okay, we need more time to relook at this," or whatever? So will that deadline? What will happen? Yes, that's the question. What will happen with that Thursday deadline that the felon has given Ukraine? Yeah. So we have Crossroads, we have Fox, and we have Scythe. That, excuse me, that deadline will not hold. No, he will go a different way, come up with some slick, sly reason why, um, it's not going to be a Thanksgiving deadline. Yeah, so that deadline will not hold. Mm-mm. Okay. Um, Two more. So, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has sued the felon for an ironically interesting sum of $1 billion. Now, this is the amount of money, and it's coincidental, I'm sure, that the felon and his family have lost in recent days in the crypto market, which has tanked for them. So they are currently $1 billion poorer than they were a week ago. Good. But anyway, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has filed a lawsuit against the felon for his bulldozing of the East Wing of the White House. How will that lawsuit go? How will the court decide on that lawsuit? So I think I'll use a clarifier for this, I mean, a significator for this. I'm going to use the tower, and that will stand for the court. What will the court decide in this lawsuit that the National Trust for Historic Preservation has filed against the felon for $1 billion? I love it. So let's look. We're looking for the tower. That will stand for the court. What will, and when I say court, by the way, it's going to be the Supreme Court that will decide this. So that makes it a little more interesting. We know that the lower courts have been doing yeoman's work to stave off the damage that the felon has done. We cannot say the same thing about the Supreme Court. In fact, I'm going to use a different, I'm not going to use the tower. I'm going to use the card that I've been using for the Supreme Court, and that is birds, because it's a bunch of guys and women who sit around and have conversation as to what they should do. So the birds is my card for the Supreme Court. What will they decide in this lawsuit by the National Trust for Historic Preservation? Because history clearly was not preserved when he bulldozed the White House. So we're looking for the birds, and that will stand for the Supreme Court. I forgot that that's who will be in this case. Okay. So we have the woman, the heart, the Supreme Court in the form of birds, the older man who is the felon, and the bear. Okay. I'm going to say that the East Wing was known historically, right, among other things, as the First Lady's Wing. Now, we know Melania couldn't care less, but we have had First Ladies who took a lot of pride in the East Wing. Was where the First Lady's offices were. And so this is sort of the feminine wing of the house, you might argue. So of course he tore it down. But this wing was beloved by the American people. The East Wing of the White House doesn't exist anymore. Uh, so Birds is the Supreme Court. And so I just want to say that I can mirror these two. So this is the woman's wing, so to speak, the East Wing of the White House that was bulldozed by the bully in chief. Okay. So I drew some cards on the Supreme Court, and we have the star, the scale, and the mice. So they will be thinking about the past and the future, you know, and um, the injustice of it all. My scales card there. That justice was not done. He just freaking did it. He didn't get permission from anybody. He didn't consult with anybody except architects for the ballroom. He just did it. He subverted the law. Um, and again, this is posterity. And what did he do? He destroyed a piece of posterity, which was that East Wing. That is how they're going to read it, because that's the line that comes right down from the birds, which is standing for the Supreme Court. They are not going to be happy about this. Here we have the felon, and the cards are the snake, the scythe, and the rider. The message that the court's going to give the felon is what you did was very, very bad. You destroyed it, you had it bulldozed, and that was bad. So I think that the case will go against him. They will want to send him um, the message that what he did was wrong. So here he is, this bully. He will be stopped in his tracks. That's the mountain. And then like double stopped in his tracks. These two are very sort of stuck energy cards. I think that the construction of the ballroom will cease forthwith, will be ordered to be ceased forthwith, and uh, and he's going to have to pony up that money, $1 billion, because he destroyed, a national uh, treasure. Now he's not going to like it at all, and of course he will appeal. But how do uh, if it's the Supreme Court that's deciding the case, I don't think you can appeal to the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court rules against you. So he will be very, very mad because this was a move to sort of, it was just a ugly, aggressive, violent, hostile, in the dead of night, I might add, because he wanted it done at night, because he's a coward, um, anti uh, ultimately, again, remember, it's the first lady's part of the house. Again, this was no dig at Melania. She couldn't care less. Remember, she doesn't like Christmas. She doesn't have to like having to do the Christmas decorations and all of that. She doesn't care. But all of those past first ladies certainly care. And the ones to come certainly care. So this move will not be appreciated by the Supreme Court. I think they will rule against him. And, we see this cascade of rulings against him. Uh, I think we have hit, the top of the mountain, and now we're starting to come down the other side. And that is good for us, not good for him. Things are starting to look pretty bleak for him. And the bleaker they look, the bleaker they're going to look because people will pile on, which leads me to my last question. Someone asked me during the live, but I want to look again, because again, energy is mutable and things change, and every day you can hear sort of the drumbeat of criticism against him. And so the question that I want to look at last is, will more Republicans end up retiring or quitting prior to the 2026 midterms because they see the writing on the wall? The writing being that they cannot be elected if they are being supported by the felon. And if the felon doesn't support them, they also can't win because he would primary them, which is why Marjorie left, aside from the fact that her pension was vested and she wants to concentrate on her run for governor. But anyway, will more Republicans who are there's a lot of backbiting, infighting going on amongst Republicans currently. Will more of them leave prior to the 2026 midterms because they see the writing on the wall? Which of course would be, again, the kiss of death for the party. Here it is in advance. Kiss of death for the Republican Party. But let's see what the cards have to say. I'm going to let Spirit pick all the cards. Will there be an exodus of Republicans from the um, the House prior to the 2026 midterms? And we'll throw the Senate in there too. I mean, whatever. Will there be an exodus? Okay. So we have letter, clover. In the center, we have the young woman, followed by the young man, followed by the snake. So here's what I think. I think these are the Epstein files. That's what I think. And I think that they and information about them that are, that is tangential to the files is pouring out. It's just pouring out quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I find it very interesting that this is the center card because these Republicans do not want to be tainted by this scandal. Although some of them probably by rights could accurately be tainted by the scandal, but they don't want to be tainted by this scandal. Um, so here they are, all big and bad, but understanding that, uh-oh, these files coming out and the felon acting all crazy is going to be problematic for them. When it comes to, this is the files, but this is also votes. They will realize more than just Marjorie that they cannot make headway in a midterm. So I'm going to predict yes, there will be more retirements, quitting of Republicans prior to the 2026 midterm races. Yes. So that's it for tonight. Happy Monday. Again, please watch on Wednesday because I think you'll enjoy the guests that I have on for the little Thanksgiving, pre-Thanksgiving conversation. Please do like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you think you are, you may have been unsubscribed. Sometimes the algorithm will do that. So just be sure to click the button. If you have the opportunity to hype the video, that helps. And I do read all your comments, and I am so appreciative of all your comments. So thank you very much for all of it. And I will see you again really soon. Take care.